7 minutes. T-minus 6 minutes. T-minus 5 minutes. T-minus for minutes. T-minus 3 minutes. 1 minute. Stand by.
How about that?
All right. Good morning, afternoon, RP Show fans and viewers. This is going to be new. This is going to be fun. Hopefully, it's just like riding a bike. Darren Dupont in for Rod Pedersen, who is traveling, and he's got me. Kevin, you're in right away. This is great. He's got me in on my honeymoon to host the dang show, but that's okay. How are you, my guy?
I'm good. When Rod said you were hosting today, I went, hold it. Didn't he just get married on Saturday?
Yep. On Sunday.
And here you are.
You know what? I've had some time to get used to it. It's all good. We'll make it work. But I am going to need your help.
Congratulations, by the way.
Thank you. It was a great day. I am still in California. I'm going to be here for the foreseeable future, which is great. I'll tell you all about my little schedule coming up and what's been going on. We'll catch up a little bit. Corey, who is producing the show, does a great job. I'm going to need you in my ear too, because although I've got a pretty good idea, I can hand. Corey says he's always there. It's just going to be a 3-man show today. It really is, because I'll be fine. We're gonna get through this. There's lots to talk about. Yesterday being down here was great, but just in terms of like, oh, you're in here, perfect. That's great. This first segment, Corey, is about 7 minutes. Is that right? I think I remember that. Yeah, perfect. We got 8 minutes. We'll use most of this to catch up and see how everything's going, and we're gonna have a lot of fun. Jim Barker is going to be in hour 2. Is that right? Just me and Kevin, hour 1. Look at this. I got this all locked down, Kev. We're in good shape.
It's like you do this every day or something.
That's like I do this every day. Look, I am down in California, and here's what's up. I'll give everybody the kind of the recap. Yeah, I got married on Sunday. It was great. Friends and family. It was pretty intimate ceremony and reception. Maybe about 60 people. So it wasn't big. 60, 65 people. It was the perfect size, right? We had a great time. Everything went off without a hitch. Almost to the point where, like, I feel like I'm going to get out of the sports business and I'm going to get into like wedding planning. And I'm just going to offer my services up on the consulting basis. Corey's screaming, don't do it. Don't do it. I say that, and Leanne's probably on the other side of the wall being like, the hell's he talking about? He didn't plan anything. I did all the work, which is exactly probably what happened. But point being, beautiful venue. A couple things I would say that really made the day great was we weren't sure about hiring the venue's coordinator, right? They have a coordinator for the day that you can hire. It's not cheap, but it was worth it. Took care of everything. And the number one thing, it was small. We had we had no party, no wedding party, no groomsmen, no bridesmaids, just the two of us. Really intimate. Everybody was there. But we had a little 2-person table, right? Head table or whatever for dinner. And throughout the night, throughout the dinner, every time I set my champagne glass down on that 2-person table, I came back, it was full. I never saw anybody fill it up. I never saw anybody. It was like they were ninjas in and out. And that's the number one thing I take away from the wedding, was that glass was always full. So that was the best.
It's the magic
Yes.
table.
It's the magic table. It was unbelievable. Look, I'm going to try and pull up the YouTube here, see if I can get the live chat going so I can say good morning to everybody. Jason's watching as well in Red Deer. That's pretty great. I got that. I think I'm logged back into the text line. So 902-518-3033. The text line is open. You can write me there. I don't think you can e-transfer wedding gifts to that text line, but that's okay too. I'll be all right. Technically, they can to that text line. You can send e-transfers, 902-518-3033. All right. There you go. There you go. Jason says, my glass is never half full. It's always full. It is. How have you been, Kev? What's been new with you?
Oh my goodness! When is the last time we talked? I made a post and I'm like, it feels forever since you and I have even chatted, let alone be on air together. Since we last talked, new relationship, retired from my full-time job, traveling, having a blast, in the process of moving to Maple Creek, Saskatchewan.
Awesome. That is great. And I also heard, I was on a meeting yesterday. I'm still working a little bit here. I'm not officially. We're actually doing the honeymoon thing in January. I'll tell everybody about that too. But was it minus 20 in Calgary yesterday?
That's what I heard. Whew.
Minus 20 in Calgary. Crazy. Prairies are freezing. But lots of stuff I want to get to today. And I want to get to what you guys want to get to too. I'm going to ask the viewers. I'm going to ask you. To steer the show a little bit too, right? We're going to need to work together on this one. But we've got lots to get to, including yesterday. It was great to be down in the U.S. We celebrated U.S. Thanksgiving. We have some American friends now that are part of our gang and that were here. So we did that, which was really great. Didn't get the butterball turkey that everybody talks about. Didn't get the butterball, but we got, because it was frozen and we didn't plan this till the day before. And someone's like, yeah, that's going to take 4 days to thaw. So you're going to have to get one that's fresh. So we got a fresh turkey. We got the yams, the sweet potatoes, the mashed potatoes, the dressing or stuffing. It was great. We had pecan pie for dessert. It was great. And we watched football all day long. I know we're inside 2 minutes here in our opening segment. Then we're going to get to a lot of great stuff. So we watched football. 3 really good games yesterday in the NFL, maybe capped off by, the least exciting of the 3 with the Bengals beating the Ravens. I want to get to that a little bit. Can the Bengals find a way to make the playoffs? That's going to be interesting. Probably going to ask Jim Barker a lot of these questions too. Cowboys, Chiefs, Rod's Cowboys. I think the Cowboys might be for real. They looked pretty good yesterday.
They did. They looked really good. The question is there a path for the Chiefs to make the playoffs, or is Mahone going to be sitting on the sidelines for the first time?
Considering some of their losses in the division are really could be detrimental to that. And the early game was the Lions and the Packers. And I'm going to ask Jim Barker, and we'll talk about this a lot. The Lions continuing to go for it on 4th down and being aggressive. Is it still charming and part of the identity, or is it stupid now because it's just not working? I don't know. I don't know which way I fall on it. I'm going back and forth on that. I want to talk about coaching. Saturday is going to be electric. It is rivalry week across the NCAA for college football. Huge games, but also Lane Kiffin said to make his decision from Ole Miss. Is he leaving? Is he staying? That's a big one. I want to talk about the Jays signing Dylan Cease. That's going to be key. And CFL free agency. We're going to talk CFL free agency, some key free agents coming up. We'll do that right after the break here on the RP Show.
This is a test pattern. This is what happens when your video company screws up. You don't want your clients to see a screw-up. Hire a company that only does video, so it won't screw up. Then, people who give you money will see less of these and more of you. Skycron.com/live.
Looking for a new ride without the big city pressure? Come to Western Dodge in Moose Jaw, where you'll find an unbeatable lineup of Ram trucks, Jeep SUVs, Dodge Muscle, and Chrysler family rides. With knowledgeable staff, great prices, and that friendly Moose Jaw touch, you'll drive away with confidence. Western Dodge. Big selection, small town service. Visit us today or browse online at westerndodge.ca.
Do you worry about how much someone drinks?
Do you feel angry or depressed most of the time? Do you feel neglected or unloved?
Do you feel that if the drinker loved you, she or he would stop drinking?
If you answered yes to any of these questions, you are not alone.
Not everyone trapped by alcohol is an alcoholic.
Families and friends are suffering too.
Al-Anon and Alateen can help.
Call 1-866-200-0223 or visit alanon.org/help.
Sports fans, daytime sports talk gets a whole lot better weekdays at noon Eastern with The Rod Pedersen Show. Talking sports daily with A-list guests, and the best part is, you can always join the discussion as we're the most interactive talk show on television. Broadcasting from coast to coast from the biggest events like Super Bowl, Stanley Cup Final, Grey Cup, and more, there's nothing like it in the game today. The Rod Pedersen Show, daily at noon Eastern and 10 p.m. Pacific on Game Plus Network.
Business owners and marketers. Okay, we know you think we're pretty cool. That's why we want you to share in the coolness factor. Partner with the Rod Pedersen Show and market your business every weekday to sports lovers just like yourself. Take advantage of our many cost-effective commercial and promotional opportunities. Tell the world about your business. Yes, the world. Thanks to Game Plus TV and the Rod Pedersen Digital Network. Contact us today and find out how you can be a part of Canada's fastest growing sports talk show, The Rod Pedersen Show.
Are you ready? January 8th to 11th, it all goes down in Moose Jaw at the Yara Center. The Battle on the Prairies. NCAA rules. 25 elite teams. Alberta, Boston, Texas, Mexico, Manitoba, Saskatchewan. All under one roof. Come watch live. Tickets available right at the door. Pay-per-view will be available at ikslive.ca.
You have a vision, a big idea, but how do you turn ambition into absolute impact? It starts with connection, booking top-tier speakers and executing seamless events. That's the EMJ difference. We position your brand where it belongs through powerful advertising, strategic media, and promotion that drives results. At EMJ Marketing, we don't just promote, we partner. Your growth, our mission.
All right, welcome back into the RP show. It is Darren Dupont in for Rod Pedersen, who is traveling, I believe, back to Saskatchewan. He's got some speaking engagements coming up. I want to say Lanigan, Milestone. Where else is Rod going? And are you going to see him when he comes back to Sask?
I'm not. We're taking off. We're heading out on tomorrow morning. We're heading up to Lloyd to see my daughter, then back to Calgary, and then we're heading to the Dominican. We're going to go stay in a treehouse in the Dominican for 8 days.
An actual treehouse? Is that part of or
it? You know, it sounded like such a great idea a year ago, but now that it's here, we're staying in the middle of a jungle in a treehouse, and the only protection we have is a mosquito net over our bed. It's opened on 3 sides.
You're a crazy man, Kevin. You're a crazy man. That'll be fun, though. That'll be fun. Good for you.
Yeah.
Good for you.
Yeah, it
Looking
should be
forward to
interesting
that.
if I survive.
That'll be great. Hey, reminder, text line's open, 902-518-3033. Send in your messages, e-transfer your wedding gifts. Okay, I'm going to stop with that. It was funny for a second. Look, I'm going to bounce around some of these topics because some of these we're going to get to with you. Some we'll save for hour 2 when we get to Jim Barker and we are across the Vegas network because that's going to be really great. Some of this stuff is really juicy and tantalizing. But you mentioned the Chiefs, and I want to go back to Thursday in the NFL. We also have a big Black Friday game, which is going to be great. The first one, which is the Bears and the Eagles. That one is coming up right after we get off the air today. I believe it's at I think noon Pacific, which is the time zone I'm in now. So working on this morning shift now is kind of wild and crazy. I'm used to being out east. My body's adjusted. Like I'm not on the clock anymore, but all my meetings are at 7 a.m. and 6:30 in the morning. And by noon, I don't have a single meeting the rest of the day, which is kind of great because then I'm done. I can do everything over my coffee with you. But look, yesterday in the National Football League, it was kind of crazy. It was the Packers over the Detroit Lions. Jordan Love was good. He got back on track. He had been struggling coming into that game. A couple things to take away from that one. It was really good. And I was like, how does these other two games live up to this game that we're watching early? It was back and forth. It took a while for the Detroit offense to get going. But when they did, Jared Goff was good. Williams was good. Gibbs continues to be great. They were comparing Jahmyr Gibbs to Barry Sanders in that game with what he's been able to do, 5.6 yards per carry in his career, above Barry Sanders 5.0 at this point through this number of games. Now, Barry had obviously had a bigger workload, which brings your yards per carry down. He had more yards. Obviously, nobody's Barry Sanders. That is, he's in a class of his own. Yeah. But it shows you what this running back's been able to do. Detroit's defense continues to be really good, but Dan Campbell still wants to go for it on fourth down every single time. There was an opportunity late in that game. You're down 2 scores. You could have kicked a field goal, made it a 1-score game. You ended up getting a stop, making it a 1-score game on your next possession. But all of a sudden, these start adding up. 3 points, 3 points, 3 points that you're not taking. They were 0 for 2 on fourth down. They were 0 for 4 in the last game coming in. What do you do if you're the Detroit Lions? Do you abandon your identity and your strategy, or do you got to stick with it and know that eventually it's going to start working again?
Well, but how many times do you bang your head against the wall before you realize it's a wall? If it's not working, you have to change something. It's one of those. You can keep going, and it's might push you right out of the playoff spot. It's just you can't keep making the same mistake over and over and expecting people to go, "Oh, okay, you're okay, keep doing it." There's got to be a change.
I think you have to at least consider it. I go back and forth on this because as you watch the game, it's not just about converting or not converting. When you watch that game, there was one of those fourth downs was a drop. Should have been converted. The play call was there. So that happens. And I know looking back, there are ones where you probably should have converted. There was a misplay or a miscue or a drop. So you look at it and be, well, the play call was right. The decision was right. The execution just wasn't there. So I understand all of that. But I think at some point you have to start managing the game a little bit, especially when it comes to these meaningful games. Thanksgiving game against Green Bay was a huge game. First time since 2020, the Green Bay Packers swept the season series with the Detroit Lions. That hasn't happened. Divisional opponent, those games, those wins, those head-to-heads are going to matter if you're going to get into the playoffs or depending on playoff seeding. So, and winning the division, forget about that. I mean, that's another element. So I think, look, I'd still be aggressive. Dan Campbell's whole aura is aggressive. If he stops being aggressive, the roster is going to kind of start to go, does he not trust us anymore? Right? Are they not? If your coach starts doing the things that he normally does and changes it up, is it going to be, does he not believe in us anymore? Like, you have to worry about that, don't you?
Well, yeah, but you should be aggressive in the right spots. If you have a opportunity to put points on the board, and I'm a big believer, whether it's the NFL or CFL, you don't leave points on the field. You take the points when you can get them. So there has to be a line where, yes, aggressive is good. Aggressive wins games, but aggressiveness also loses you games. So it's a fine line they have to walk, and they've been walking it all year.
They've been walking it since Dan Campbell became the head coach of the Detroit Lions. I mean, not a huge deal to lose this game. I mean, it's a big loss. It hurts, but it doesn't end your season. You don't convert on fourth down multiple times in a playoff game and you lose by a single possession. Now fans are going to start to get frustrated. And that's the worry, is this going to happen in the biggest moments of the year? The NFL's got a really great website. We knew that. But when you look at the playoffs right now after that game, the Lions are on the outside looking in. They're 7-5. They're on the bubble. They're third now in the NFC North. And their playoff probability is at 49%. So these wins matter. They're huge. Yeah. They had the Packers here in Week 13, so it'll be very interesting to see what they do moving down the stretch. Crazy. I want to get to some of these other ones, and we're going to go through some of these playoff probabilities as we go on. And I'm curious to see, and I guess I'll ask the question because we're in that situation. The Detroit Lions, with a playoff probability of 49% after a loss against Green Bay, do they make the playoffs or do they not make the playoffs?
Whew, I think they make the playoffs. I think they'll squeak in. I'll use that word, squeak in.
Look at the 4 remaining games they have left. They've got the Pittsburgh Steelers on December 21st. Or sorry, they've got the Cowboys on the 4th. Not an easy game. Cowboys are rolling. Then they got the Steelers on the 21st before Christmas. They've got the red-hot Chicago Bears in the new year. Then they've got the Rams, and they finish with the Vikings. That is a tough schedule full of teams that want to be in the playoffs. And when I think about it right now, the Steelers right now are in the hunt. They're a playoff team.
Yes.
They're first in the AFC North. The Rams, I might consider the Rams the Super Bowl favorite right now. The Bears, first in their division. They got a big game coming up today against the Eagles. And then maybe the Vikings is the only game on that schedule where you're like, okay, that's one we really need to have. They've been struggling. J.J. McCarthy hasn't quite got it yet. Young quarterback. Yeah. They got 5 games left. 4 of those, I don't know if the Lions will win.
I mean, how many games do they need to win out of those? Do they need 75%?
They probably need 4 out of 5 wins. 3 for sure.
It's going to be tough. They've set themselves up with this loss. It's going to be tough.
6 losses might get you in. 7, probably not. When you think of the teams in front of you, and your division, the Packers are in, and the Bears, right? They're all ahead of you. It'd be very interesting to see what happens there. Look, the second game might have been the best game of the.
Yes.
The first game was great, but the second game, Chiefs, Cowboys. Patrick Mahomes. Yeah, they lost and they've struggled, but he continues to be so good. 4 touchdowns again. He had a passer rating, I think, of 112. He was great, but Dak did enough. And the Cowboys, they've got that dynamic duo receiver with George Pickens and CD Lamb. The Cowboys are rolling a little bit now. What'd you think of that one?
That was the game I actually watched the entire game. And as you know, I'm not a huge NFL fan, but I thought, well, you know what? Thanksgiving, I'm going to sit and watch at least one. I ended up watching that one and the third game, the full games. And that one had me on the edge of the seat. And I'm not a fan of either team. I'm a Seahawks fan. But that was just a fun game to watch. It was just, it came down to, could they be stopped? Could the Cowboys be stopped? They had 2-3 opportunities on that last drive to stop them, and they didn't do it. As you said, the offense won that game. Defense for the Chiefs lost that game. If they stop them, who knows? Does Mahomes pull out a miracle again?
I know. Really close. Patrick Mahomes was good. The Chiefs, 6-6. They're 3rd in the AFC West. And this is mind-boggling stuff. And what's funny about it is they've lost. At 6-6, we look at them and we still think of them as a team that can win the Super Bowl. That's what we think of the Chiefs. I don't know if it's because of the brand, it's because of Andy Reid, it's because of Patrick Mahomes. Jason Kelce, yes, is not the Jason Kelce he was, 3 years ago, but he's still Jason Kelce. They still have their chemistry. Look, the Chiefs right now are in the hunt. After that loss, their playoff probability is at 38% for the Chiefs. And here's what they've got coming up. The Chiefs into December on the 7th, they've got the Texans. Then they've got the Titans, the Raiders, the Chargers, and the Broncos. So when you come here, the Texans have been playing really good football. And it's since they've gone to Davis Mills at quarterback, they've been a better football team. But then you get the Titans. That's probably a win. The Raiders, they should win that game. Yeah, it's on the road in Vegas, but it's not going to Oakland. It's a little different situation. Then they're home to the Chargers, home to the Broncos. When you look at the remaining schedule of the 5 games remaining, 3 of them are at home, 2 on the road. And the 2 on the road are against the Titans and the Raiders. All of a sudden, we could be sitting here going into the final 2 weeks, and they're right back in the mix with 2 tough games against the Chargers and the Broncos, which will probably determine their season.
Well, they basically have to either win out or at least win 4 of their last 5. I mean, that's the only path they have now. And you kind of put it right out there. 2 should be, I'm going to use the word easy wins, if there's such a thing in the NFL or football in general as an easy win. The other 3, that's going to be a tough, they've got it in tough. It's going to be fun to watch these last 5 games. It's going to be interesting to watch.
Yeah, it's going to be really tough. The Dallas Cowboys, on the other hand, we'll wrap up with them. We'll get into the final game and into the Black Friday game in the next segment and some CFL stuff. I want to get into CFL free agency. But in the last game, Joe Burrow comes back and engineers a really dominant win over the Ravens. They're 4-8 now, and the Ravens are in some trouble.
Yeah. What a game. Back and forth, back and forth. It was one of those games where I was like, I'll have it on, but I won't really watch it. And I actually was going to play a poker tournament online, and I put my computer aside because the game was just so much fun to watch. Again, stayed up late to watch it. This whole living in Central Time is starting to affect my sleep schedule.
Well, I can imagine it will do that for you. You'll be staying up later and later and later. Look, we're out of time in this segment. We'll get to more of this coming up after the break. The Bengals, hey, every game's a must-win for both these teams. They could make the playoffs. Black Friday in the NFL. We'll get to that coming up after the break here on the RP Show.
Are you ready? January 8th to 11th, it all goes down in Moose Jaw at the Yara Center. The battle on the prairies. NCAA rules. 25 elite teams. Alberta, Boston, Texas, Mexico, Manitoba, Saskatchewan. All under one roof. Come watch live. Tickets available right at the door. Pay-per-view will be available at ikslive.ca.
Sports fans, daytime sports talk gets a whole lot better weekdays at noon Eastern with The Rod Pedersen Show. Talking sports daily with A-list guests, and the best part is, you can always join the discussion as we're the most interactive talk show on television. Broadcasting from coast to coast from the biggest events like Super Bowl, Stanley Cup Final, Grey Cup, and more, there's nothing like it in the game today. The Rod Pedersen Show, daily at noon Eastern and 10 p.m. Pacific on Game Plus Network.
You have a vision, a big idea, but how do you turn ambition into absolute impact? It starts with connection. Booking top-tier speakers and executing seamless events, that's the EMJ difference.
We position your brand where it belongs, Guy, through powerful advertising, strategic media, and promotion that drives results. At EMJ Marketing, we don't just promote your rebel, we partner. Your growth, our mission.
Business owners and marketers. Okay, we know you think we're pretty cool. That's why we want you to share in the coolness factor. Partner with the Rod Pedersen Show and market your business every weekday to sports lovers just like yourself. Take advantage of our many cost-effective commercial and promotional opportunities. Tell the world about your business. Yes, the world. Thanks to Game Plus TV and the Rod Pedersen Digital Network. Contact us today and find out how you can be a part of Canada's fastest growing sports talk show, The Rod Pedersen Show.
Hiring a video company shouldn't be complicated. Click, pay, done. Skycron.com/Regina. This is a test pattern. This is what happens when your video company screws up. You don't want your clients to see a screw up. Hire a company that only does video, so it won't screw up. Then, people who give you money will see less of these and more of you. Skycron.com/live.
Sports fans, daytime sports talk gets a whole lot better weekdays at noon Eastern with The Rod Pedersen Show. Talking sports daily with A-list guests, and the best part is, you can always join the discussion as we're the most interactive talk show on television. Broadcasting from coast to coast from the biggest events like Super Bowl, Stanley Cup Final, Grey Cup, and more, there's nothing like it in the game today. The Rod Pedersen Show, daily at noon Eastern and 10 p.m. Pacific on Game Plus Network.
Hey, welcome back into the program. It is Black Friday, and Darren Dupont in for Rod Pedersen, who's traveling. He's taking this day off. I don't envy Rod traveling on the holiday weekend, but maybe everybody got in earlier than this. I know we air across Canada and the USA, but we're always in both, right? And we have an audience in both as we welcome in Kevin the Medium one more time. I want to get to some of the comments because lots going on here. Craig Campbell writes in, he says, hello from the hometown of Andre Moose Dupont, Trois-Rivières. And that's where the nickname came from for me was, Rod one day saying, how come no one's ever called you Moose, like Andre the Moose Dupont? And I said, well, we can start today. And it did. Craig says, 10 days of hockey. He's at the Coop 55 Winter Hockey Carnival. I will admit, I'm not familiar with it, but it would be cool to check out. It sounds great. 10 days of hockey. He says, avec la coupe, Stanley today and tomorrow. So that's pretty cool. Like that. You're going to stay in a treehouse. Brent wants to know what your name is. Tarzan? So that's pretty good. I like that one. Boom, boom. Bo writes in Saskatoon, says, congratulations, Darren. Good morning, everyone, from a snowy Saskatoon. Brent goes on to say that his Detroit Lions season could be in trouble. Dan Campbell calls an aggressive game for sure. He usually succeeds, but we need all the wins we can get. The Lions have a tough schedule remaining. They need to win at least 4 more. I've heard they're getting Frank Ragnow back out of retirement on the O-line, which may help. Okay. And, away we go. Okay. Anybody on the text? One more on the text line for you. Everybody wants to talk to you this morning, Kev. Sean says, wow. Enjoy the Dominican, Kevin. Send my best to the Swiss Family Robinson. So there you go. Ba-doom, boom. Yeah, it is the holiday season. And one thing I've learned being down here, because I've never spent, we've spent time in the U.S., but have you spent the holidays in the U.S., Thanksgiving or Christmas?
No, I've never, but I want to because I think it would be a cool experience.
Thanksgiving is the official kickoff to the holiday season. Everybody comes in, and what I'm learning, and if the Americans that are watching want to write in, 902-518-3033, it's almost bigger than Christmas. Mm-hmm. That's how big it is. In terms of the family, so everybody comes out for Thanksgiving. On Christmas, sometimes I think you tend to do your own family thing. So I'll stay with my family and want to wake up. Everybody wants to wake up on Christmas morning in their own house, kind of thing. Thanksgiving, you get together. That's what's big about Thanksgiving. Everybody gets together. Christmas, I think you're with your family, but Thanksgiving, everybody gets together. And it's the kickoff to the holiday season. So, it was the Macy's Day Parade. Watched a little bit of that, which was great, out of New York. Was awesome. And around where we are in a gated community, okay? I say that, but literally on Thursday, that's when the Christmas lights came on in the community, when you drive in. And there's on the gate 2 giant wreaths that were lit up. They got put out. And Leanne's actually saying, I'm really glad they waited and didn't do it for the wedding so it could feel like separate. But it's true. Thursday is the official kickoff to the holidays. We're watching TV. Love watching ESPN every day. But the holiday commercials are playing now. Everywhere. The holiday sales. All really fantastic stuff. So it's the official kickoff to the holiday season. You had the Thanksgiving Day games. You got Black Friday today, and then it's just Christmas right through to the holidays. So that's new being down here. So we were looking up what were we going to do. We're in U.S. For Thanksgiving. Are we going to have a big dinner? Are we going to? I'm like, I want to go see the parade. There's got to be a big parade. Let's drive into L.A. see the parade, right? Incredible. We didn't because there was no parade. The Macy's Day Parade was in New York, but the big LA parade is on Sunday.
Oh.
So there's a chance we might drive in Sunday for the big parade. And also at Santa Monica by the pier, apparently there's an 8,000 square foot outdoor skating rink on the beach. So
Wow.
I might have to, being a Canadian, to go skating in like, what do you want to call it? 75, 80 degree weather down here. So 25 degrees would be fantastic. I would love to do that. So we'll see what happens.
On the beach?
That's the holidays.
You gotta.
I don't know if they're going to have any skating in the Dominican for you when you go, but they will in LA.
Yeah, I'm sure there won't be any ice in the Dominican.
Just in your drink. Text lines open 902-518-3033. Kirk writes in from Toronto, and he says, "Hi, Moose. Kirk from Toronto. The CFL commissioner stated at Grey Cup that the league is looking to expand in Canada and not the U.S. Then why move the 55-yard line?" What a great transition into the CFL, which we want to get to now for the majority of the rest of this hour. Look, you don't necessarily need to expand into the NFL to remove the 55-yard line, but there are lots of reasons. I mean, the 55-yard line and that center field was one of the things that made us different than the US or than the NFL, for sure. But it wasn't I don't know if it was one of the core things. I mean, I guess it is the 110-yard field. That's a core thing for sure. But does it change the game? It doesn't really change the game. It's still 1st and 10. You still need 10 yards to get a first down. There's still the unlimited motion and the waggle. It's still 3 downs, so we're going to be a heavy passing league. All those things, the wide field, so the swing passes outside are still going to be a thing, and quarterbacks need to have that extra arm strength to get balls out to the side of the field. The center yard line, the 55, didn't really change the gameplay at all. I mean, it made the field a little longer, but it really didn't change gameplay. And if anything, it actually, when you're thinking about field goals, and I don't want to think about this, I'm going to have to do some math. Did it make the field shorter? Not having the 55, but having the goalposts in the front? Like, is the field, like when I think about field goals, is the field getting longer? Because you're going to 15-yard end zones, right? So when you're moving one way, forget about the end zone behind you. You've got a 15-yard, now you've expanded 15 and only removed 10. It's actually getting harder to score field goals. You've actually added 5 yards to the length of the field, right? So you got to go 5 yards further to get into field goal range. Am I right?
Simple math says you're right. So according to the commissioner, the reason they changed that made the changes is they wanted more scoring. You're going to have more scoring. How does that add up? I don't disagree with the changes. It's what's the purpose of the changes? And taking out the 55 doesn't make sense to me as far as improving the game. You said it. It's not going to change the game whatsoever. It's still 3 downs. We still have unlimited motion, the waggle, the 65-yard wide field. It's not going to change how we play the game. So what's the purpose? There's got to be a reason behind this decision. It can't just be, we just decided.
Yeah. I mean, you're losing 10 yards in the middle of the field and you're losing 10 yards in the end zones, right? 5 in each end zone. So you're looking at, 20 yards shorter. Corey, we're in our final 2 minutes. Do I have Kevin next segment? To the top of the hour. And are you back next hour? I'm learning all this on the fly as we go. Okay, I'm solo till Jim. So you got 2 minutes left. I want to get to a couple rapid fire things. That's interesting. We'll see where that plays. I'll wrap up my thought on that. I think you can put CFL in more places. And that was one of the thoughts, right? You can put it in more stadiums. We can have a game in Mexico. We could have a Grey Cup in Las Vegas. Could be fun. I mean, not Canadian place, but we could do lots of different things. And while maybe you're not looking to expand into the US, it's always good to have options if that becomes something that maybe you want to do down the road. But not saying that that needs to be a thing. Look, CFL free agency, 3 Down Nation came up with their top 50 free agents. And I know we have a lot of viewers in Saskatchewan, so I'm going to ask this to Jim too. The Riders have 3 key free agents. We're in our final minute. Trevor Harris, Sam Emilus. So Trevor Harris, the Grey Cup MVP. Sam Emilus, the most valuable Canadian in the Grey Cup. And Jamarcus Hardrick, the most outstanding lineman. Who should be the top priority?
Oh, Harris, without a doubt. I mean,
Okay.
if he still wants to play, you got to sign him. They're going to sign all 3, though. I can't see any of those 3 walking.
2 quarterbacks to the top of the free agent list in Trevor Harris and Bo Levi Mitchell, who is the East Division nominee for MOP. Who would you rather sign if you're a team looking for a quarterback?
Harris. Only because I'm not a fan of Bo Levi. Yes, has a resurgence. I'm just not a personal fan of him. So, and I got to meet Harris at the Grey Cup, and he won me. And I posted it. Trevor Harris won me over. I will never be a Rider fan, but I am a Trevor Harris fan.
Kev, it's been great. We'll see you later.
Sports fans, daytime sports talk gets a whole lot better weekdays at noon Eastern with the Rod Pedersen Show. Talking sports daily with A-list guests, and the best part is, you can always join the discussion as we're the most interactive talk show on television. Broadcasting from coast to coast from the biggest events like Super Bowl, Stanley Cup Final, Grey Cup, and more, there's nothing like it in the game today. The Rod Pedersen Show, daily at noon Eastern and 10 p.m. Pacific on Game Plus Network.
Business owners and marketers. Okay, we know you think we're pretty cool. That's why we want you to share in the coolness factor. Partner with the Rod Pedersen Show and market your business every weekday to sports lovers just like yourself. Take advantage of our many cost-effective commercial and promotional opportunities. Tell the world about your business. Yes, the world. Thanks to Game Plus TV and the Rod Pedersen Digital Network. Contact us today and find out how you can be a part of Canada's fastest growing sports talk show, The Rod Pedersen Show.
Sports fans, daytime sports talk gets a whole lot better weekdays at noon Eastern with the Rod Pedersen Show. Talking sports daily with A-list guests, and the best part is, you can always join the discussion as we're the most interactive talk show on television. Broadcasting from coast to coast from the biggest events like Super Bowl, Stanley Cup Final, Grey Cup, and more, there's nothing like it in the game today. The Rod Pedersen Show, daily at noon Eastern and 10 p.m. Pacific on Game Plus Network.
This is a test pattern. This is what happens when your video company screws up. You don't want your clients to see a screw-up. Hire a company that only does video, so it won't screw up. Then, people who give you money will see less of these and more of you. Skycron.com/live.
Business owners and marketers. Okay, we know you think we're pretty cool. That's why we want you to share in the coolness factor. Partner with the Rod Pedersen Show and market your business every weekday to sports lovers just like yourself. Take advantage of our many cost-effective commercial and promotional opportunities. Tell the world about your business. Yes, the world. Thanks to Game Plus TV and the Rod Pedersen Digital Network. Contact us today and find out how you can be a part of Canada's fastest growing sports talk show, The Rod Pedersen Show.
You have a vision, a big idea. But how do you turn ambition into absolute impact? It starts with connection. Booking top-tier speakers and executing seamless events. That's the EMJ difference.
We position your brand where it belongs, Guy, through powerful advertising, strategic media, and promotion that drives results. At EMJ Marketing, we don't just promote, we partner. Your growth, our mission.
Hiring a video company shouldn't be complicated. Click, pay, done. Skycron.com/Regina.
Hey, welcome back into the RP show. Darren Dupont with you here on Black Friday in the U.S., I guess across North America. We have Black Friday now in Canada, all the Black Friday sales. I think in Canada, it's a shopping holiday. In the U.S., it's still a shopping holiday, but it's the day after Thanksgiving. So away we go, U.S. Thanksgiving. And we've got one NFL game tonight, which is going to be a good one. Tonight, I should say. It's today coming up in a little over 2 hours' time, the Eagles and the Chicago Bears. And that game has a lot of intrigue because who would have thought at this time of year we'd be talking about the Eagles and the Bears? They're both 8-3 and really battling for seeding come playoff time. Still got a long way to go to lock up a playoff spot, but very, very interesting. When I think about the NFL playoffs, there is still lots hanging up in the air. So really interested about that. When you look at the teams in the playoff picture right now, in the AFC, the Patriots, the Broncos, the Colts, the Steelers, the Chargers, the Jaguars, the Bills. In the NFC, Rams, Eagles, Bears, Bucks, Seahawks, Packers, 49ers. So that's the playoff picture right now. But this is viewer takeover. So let's get to some of the comments. There's lots of them here I want to get to. Tony from Cochrane writes in, congratulations, Moose and Leanne. We had our honeymoon in the San Diego area 42 years ago in 1983. Hope you have as long and successful a marriage with 8 grandchildren as we've enjoyed. Yeah, thank you. I kind of hope so too. Ken writes in, says, thanks for shortening. Think the shortening off the field will allow for standardization size in end zones in all cities. I know they're thinking about what's going on in Toronto with the end zone and the grass/turf. So that's probably part of it for sure. I think standardization is a good thing. I think we need to be different, and the Canadian game needs to continue to be the Canadian game, but it needs to be simple. So cleaning up the clock, and I want to talk about this a little bit next hour. And the American viewers, as we go into the Silver State Sports and Entertainment Network in Vegas in hour 2, they'll like this conversation as well. But when I think about it, I think about the standardization. And so a lot of kids that get into the game, they play the game, they play Canadian football, but they also play the video games. They play Madden, they watch the NFL, they watch the CFL. And the more the games are the same, the easier they are to understand, the easier they are to pick up on and be excited about. I think about this all the time in branding and in marketing. As somebody who has an eye for that kind of thing and a passion for branding, and to clarify, when I think of branding as your reputation and your logos and your brand and your colors and your storefronts and all websites and all the social media accounts. Those are all your branding elements that help your reputation. And when I think about logos specifically, I think about the ones that really track, the brands that really stick, the teams that really build the fan bases. They win, they do well, they have a great product. But for the logo, can I draw it? Is it easy to replicate, right? Can I remember it? Same thing with music, right? When you think about Disney, for example, we actually spent the day on Tuesday in Disneyland in LA, in Anaheim. And one of the things about some of the new Disney movies is we don't remember all the songs. They're not classics because they're getting a little complicated. There's a lot in those songs. When we think of the old school, traditional, nostalgic Disney, you can remember every one of those words because they're simple, they're catchy, there's not a lot to them, right? And they're just wonderfully beautiful. And I think that's the same when it comes to sports. You want to build fans, it needs to be easy to follow. When you watch a new TV show, the characters are really easy to follow at the beginning. The beginning of a new show is always pretty easy. Think of Suits, for example. If you ever watched that show, all they were doing at the beginning of that show for the first season was kicking ass, right? It was Mike and Harvey, and they were cool, and the storyline was simple. Here's a problem to solve, and here's how we solve it, and Harvey's the man, and Mike's the new guy, right? And as seasons go on, you introduce more characters, it gets complicated, it becomes really hard to follow. And so if you jump into a show in season 3 and you've never seen it before, you're probably not going to stick around because it's not easy. You got to grab the audience really quickly. So when you come into a game and I can't understand why the clock's running or not running or how much time's running off the clock, it becomes really hard to follow. and really hard to replicate when you're just playing out in the yard or doing your thing. 3 downs, not hard to replicate. The unlimited motion, not hard to replicate. Those things are actually really cool. The bigger football, really definitely really cool. 12 players on the field, that's all really easy to replicate and makes us really charming, unique, and cool. But when you think about the play clock timing and some of the different rules that don't really define the Canadian game, I think cleaning those up can be a really good thing, and they don't take away our identity, which I think is really important. What else do we got here in the comments section? Lots of congratulations, which I appreciate. Thank you guys very much. Some people think the Detroit Lions season could be in trouble. What else do we got here? Congrats to Moose. This is coming from the Jug. How are you, man? He said, can we talk about how bad the reffing was in the Vanier and Regina? It was terrible. How do you let the refs decide that game? I know. And there was one call. They picked up the flag, and it was pretty obvious. Look, as much as they are key and they maybe are a focus of a game and decide key plays, I still don't think the refs decide games. I really don't. There can be critical moments where a touchdown is called, and maybe that's the difference in a game on a touchdown call that shouldn't have been a touchdown. But I really, really, really believe that the refs didn't decide game. They don't decide games. They didn't decide that game. You're in control of it, even though the odds are stacked against you when the reffing isn't on your side. So I don't want to take away from what the Montreal Caravan did. They were great. They were really, really great. They're a good football team. They're deep. Their young quarterback in Pepe Gonzalez is going to be good for a long time. Just getting started. I am a big fan of that group, and it breaks my heart with what's going on with the Huskies that they fell short, and they are a great football team too. But Montreal earned that one. Yeah, the penalties, there was some tough ones, but Montreal still earned it. So what else do we got here? Pat goes on to write, you sign Harris first, and then let Harris go and get those guys to come to his team. You get the right guys to protect him. The receivers, a dime a dozen. So he doesn't think Sam Emilus is a focus for the Riders to prioritize. Okay. I do think you start with your leaders. If Trevor Harris does decide to come back, which I think he will, to continue on, he said he's just hitting his prime at 39 years old. I think Trevor Harris, Jamarcus Hardrick, most outstanding linemen, they're probably focuses for sure. Jeff writes in, Jeff the Stamps fan says, look like the Stamps will lose a few to the NFL again. It's sad the rules in this league do not allow the Stamps to gain traction by having continuity or continuation in any position. I know, right? The league is out to get the Stamps. They are, and I feel for you and all the other Stamps fans. I'm kidding. It's just the way it is. It needs to be about the players. If there's an opportunity for the players to get into a better situation, then the players should go to a better situation. We want them to have a great career and opportunity, and we don't want to hold the players back. Glenn writes in, he says, hey, Dupes, are the golf courses in Palm Springs allowing power carts yet after overseeding? Yes, some courses, 90 degrees. But here's the thing, they overseed in October around here. So I was here once in October for a couple of days, and it was brown. They overseed. They shave everything down in October. They close the courses. They water the crap out of it, and they let it grow back. And by November, everything is as green as I've ever seen it compared to any other month. Probably the most beautiful month in terms of the green grass and everything being so healthy and alive. That's really great. Now, a couple courses, like the one we got married on, Desert Willow, if anybody's interested, has 2 18s. So they overseeded one in October, and it was looking great. And then they just they overseeded the other one here in November. That 18 is closed, but the first 18 is open. So Mountain View is open, Firecliff closed. Those are the names of those courses. Flames are at 2. Thank you, Jeff. Flames up at 2 p.m. That's Mountain Time. So we got a big NHL slate. We got a big NFL slate today. I am in the holiday spirit. I really am. And this is the kickoff to the holiday season. I was always December 1st or bust. No Christmas tree before December 1st. Now being down here, I always get it. My one rule, though, no Christmas before Remembrance Day. That's a non-starter with me. Non-starter. No Christmas before Remembrance Day. This is our last segment in this hour, Corey, and then we're up in Vegas. Is that right? So we're at our final 2 minutes here. Just for our Canadian viewers, our North American viewers will continue on. Our Canadian viewers will continue on as well. We'll be adding our audience in Vegas coming up next hour. Jeff goes on to write and remind us all that CFL free agency officially opens February 10th. The tampering window, February 1st to the 8th. Good. Housekeeping note. I want to get to some of these in the final 2 minutes. Glenn Erickson says, nice to the Skins game back, a U.S. Thanksgiving tradition, $4 million up for grabs today. And then he says, okay, back to football. So that was the Skins game. Jeff writes on that says, Suits dragged on too long. We agree on that. It dragged on a little bit too long. When Mike left and Rachel left, the show should have probably been done. But that's okay. Marcel writes in, true or not true? Now with field sizes, NFL will play more exhibition games in CFL stadiums. Mosaic was hoping to get one. It went to Winnipeg. Possibly true. Possibly true. That could make it easier. And it's a really good point. Jeff says, thanks for your sympathy, Dupes, on the Stamps getting screwed. Yeah. Next hour, I want to ask Jim about some of this stuff. We'll talk some CFL with him. We'll talk a lot of NFL with him. It's rivalry weekend across the NCAA. The big one, I think it's Ohio State, Michigan this weekend. That's going to be really good. Some coaching carousels. The Jays are signing a pitcher from the Pirates, Dylan Cease. That's going to be good. And more. Hey, we're in our final 15 seconds, but we got through 1 hour. Thanks to you guys for sticking with me. Get the text line going, 902-518-3033, and we'll see you after the break here on the RP Show.
Hiring a video company shouldn't be complicated. Click, pay, done. Skycron.com/Regina.
You have a vision, a big idea, but how do you turn ambition into absolute impact? It starts with connection. Booking top-tier speakers and executing seamless events, that's the EMJ difference.
We position your brand where it belongs, Guy, through powerful advertising, strategic media, and promotion that drives results. At EMJ Marketing, we don't just promote, we partner. Your growth, our mission.
This is a test pattern. This is what happens when your video company screws up. You don't want your clients to see a screw-up. Hire a company that only does video, so it won't screw up. Then, people who give you money will see less of these and more of you. Skycron.com/live.
You have a vision, a big idea, but how do you turn ambition into absolute impact? It starts with connection. Booking top-tier speakers and executing seamless events, that's the EMJ difference.
We position your brand where it belongs, Guy, through powerful advertising, strategic media, and promotion that drives results. At EMJ Marketing, we don't just promote, we partner. Your growth, our mission.
Business owners and marketers. Okay, we know you think we're pretty cool. That's why we want you to share in the coolness factor. Partner with the Rod Pedersen Show and market your business every weekday to sports lovers just like yourself. Take advantage of our many cost-effective commercial and promotional opportunities. Tell the world about your business. Yes, the world. Thanks to Game Plus TV and the Rod Pedersen Digital Network. Contact us today and find out how you can be a part of Canada's fastest-growing sports talk show, The Rod Pedersen Show.
Sports fans, daytime sports talk gets a whole lot better weekdays at noon Eastern with The Rod Pedersen Show. Talking sports daily with A-list guests, and the best part is, you can always join the discussion as we're the most interactive talk show on television. Broadcasting from coast to coast from the biggest events like Super Bowl, Stanley Cup Final, Grey Cup, and more, there's nothing like it in the game today. The Rod Pedersen Show, daily at noon Eastern and 10 p.m. Pacific on Game Plus Network.
Hiring a video company shouldn't be complicated. Click, pay, done. Skycron.com/Regina.
How about that?
Good morning and welcome to the RP Show. No Rod today. I'm Darren Dupont in for Rod Pedersen today, who is traveling back up north to Canada. He's got some speaking engagements across the Great White North, and my understanding, it is the Great White North in Canada right now. Temperatures dropping below minus 20 in some parts of Canada over this holiday weekend. Welcome to the program. Darren Dupont again with you one more time as we are in and ready to roll. We welcome in all the viewers who are joining us across all of our networks, the Game Plus Television Network across North America, the Silver State Sports and Information Network, or Entertainment Network, across Nevada and Las Vegas. Excited to have you guys in, and we're excited to get going. Look, I am down here in California, in the U.S. for the holiday weekend, and I know as a Canadian, not something we celebrate typically up north is this time of year, but happy to be down here. And we had the big feast yesterday. We had the big Thanksgiving dinner. That was great. We had the turkey and the stuffing and the potatoes, the pecan pie for dessert. We did it all. It was wonderful. And watched football all day long. 3 great games, which we talked about in the program on the other hour. We do stream the program all 2 hours on YouTube and the RP Show YouTube page for those of you who don't get hour 1 in your local community. So that was great. We talked about those 3 games. We're going to talk about it a little bit later on here on this Football Friday. Jim Barker is going to join us a little bit later on here in the next segment. He is a longtime football executive, coach, media personality. We're going to talk to him about those Thanksgiving Day games. And we're going to be almost the pregame show for the Black Friday game on Amazon, which is the Eagles and the Bears. And that is going to be a really, really good game. Two teams that are 8-3. The Bears, interestingly enough, a team that I think so improved. They are so exciting to watch. I love their coach. And yet people are still wondering when the bottom's going to fall out. And they don't see the Bears not only as Super Bowl contenders, but I think there's a lot of people that don't know if the Bears are going to be a playoff team. So that's going to be interesting. We're going to talk to Jim about that coming up a little bit later on in the next segment. It's a huge weekend across the NCAA in college football. Big college football playoff implications in rivalry weekend. Going to talk about that. We got a couple games underway already here on this Friday, including one with major implications. Ole Miss and Mississippi State. Ole Miss, number 7 in the country. They're a team likely heading to the playoff in college football. I think you got to take care of business today for them to be considered a playoff team. Obviously, you lose, you're going to fall back quite a bit. But they're in the second quarter right now. And number 13, Utah, trying to keep their playoff hopes alive. They're up 10-7 over Kansas. That game, I believe, in the second quarter as well. But big games coming up today. Some really big ones. And then into tomorrow, Georgia's going to play Texas A&M is going to be another good one. Rivalry games get going here today. We'll talk about that coming up throughout the program. We'll get to the NFL. We talked a little Canadian Football League back in hour 1, and I know some of our U.S. viewers are really interested in this, some are not, but I want to get to that a little bit because free agency's coming up, and we've got the free agent list has been dropped. The top 50 free agents from 3downnation.com has been listed. There's some key free agents there, so I'm going to talk to Jim Barker about that. And I know there's some heavy interest across the U.S. When it comes to the Canadian Football League. I want to talk about coaching because on Saturday, Lane Kiffin is expecting to make his decision on where he's going to coach next. Where is he going to coach next season? Is he going to take one of these open positions in other traditional bigger markets, or is he going to stay and continue to build what he's been building at Ole Miss? Now, what happens if he leaves? They're 7-1. They could be 8-1 after this weekend, and he could leave. And when he leaves, he's going to leave mid-season and not going to coach this team in the college football playoff. That is mind-boggling to football fans. I was going to say most football fans, but it's just mind-boggling to football fans to try and comprehend how you can have a program in a position to win a national championship and you're going to leave. Now, if you're Lane Kiffin, you're only going to leave for a better opportunity. Now, it could be a better family opportunity, could be somewhere you want to live, could be a place you want to have the next chapter of your life, could be a school that has ties to you. But it could also be because you feel that your chance at winning a national championship as a head coach is going to be better in this new school, in this new environment, in this new program. Maybe you've got more NIL money coming your way. Maybe you have an easier chance or a better pipeline for recruits. Maybe it's just something that you're missing from where you are. And for Lane, that would be Ole Miss. Very curious to see what he decides to do and how he handles it. Because I saw the argument once, and it was, you're going to tell them that you're going to leave them and not coach them in the college football playoff? And not only that, you're going to go to a team where you're going to have to play them and you're going to coach against Ole Miss next season? It's a bit of a slap in the face. These players have committed to you and the school. They've committed to this program, but they've committed to you. Now, this team could be 8-1 coming out of this afternoon, and by all accounts, they should be. It's a close game right now. They could be 8-1, and if he leaves, it's going to signal to everybody in there that at 8-1 and heading to the college football playoff, he doesn't think that group's good enough to win a national title. Because if he thinks that group can win a national title this year, you stay. You stay, and you continue to build. And if you think you can win a national title, you'll try and win 2 and 3, and then you'll leave down the road if you don't happen to win, because it's not a guarantee and it's a really hard thing to do. I don't know. I think it's really, really tough. Really tough. And everybody's trying to decide what the decision's going to be for Lane Kiffin. So we'll stay tuned for that coming up on Saturday. The text line is open, 902-518-3033. We've got viewers watching from all across North America. Lots of viewers still up in Canada that have joined us here for hour 2. And Darren writes in from Regina, Saskatchewan. And I'm going back in some older messages here. He's got a great he's a Tennessee Titans fan. So that's really great. I am a Tennessee Titans fan. I will pledge my allegiance to the Titans and let you guys all know that that's who I cheer for. But he says, Darren in Regina, Saskatchewan here would like to say the CFL will become more like the NFL in 2027. Maybe some NFL teams will play regular season games here in Canada if the field is almost the same. That's a big topic of discussion for new viewers. The CFL, the Canadian Football League, is changing some of its rules, but it's changing the field dimensions. We always just say this, we change the rules, we change the rules. Well, it's not just the rules. We're adjusting things a little bit. In the CFL, they're going to be adjusting the play clock to a 35-second play clock and more timing rules like the NFL has. We're going to be shortening the field to 100 yards instead of 110. We're going to be shortening the end zones from 20 yards to 15 yards, moving the goalposts back from the front of the end zone to the back of the end zone. Things that change the game a little bit and will make it more compatible, let's say, for teams in the U.S. to come and play neutral site games up in Canada. And that would be a great opportunity to do that. I know ticket sales and fan bases, you don't want to give away your home games, but we're doing that already with the international games. It maybe opens up the NFL as a league to put games in Canada as opposed to Berlin or Munich or somewhere overseas, right? Into Europe and into Germany and places like that. It's possible. What I like is its options. Nothing is guaranteed. Nothing is saying they're taking the game away from Canadians. It's just options. And I think keeping your options open is not necessarily that bad of a thing. It's okay. Ron writes in from Calgary, Canada. Says, congratulations, Moose, and your significant other. If Harris plays one more year, it's in Saskatchewan. Same for AJ. Okay. He's talking about Trevor Harris, the Saskatchewan Roughriders, Grey Cup winning quarterback, who is set to become a free agent in February. Bill writes in Brantford. Bill writes in and he says, watching the Chiefs Cowboys game, I noticed that the refs are not going to call pass interference until the receiver comes up yelling and motions to the ref to throw the flag. Bill from Brantford, Ontario. Bill, I get that frustration. I've seen that. I don't know that that's the case. Sometimes when a player comes up screaming and yelling, the official does want to do the opposite and not call the penalty. So I'm curious, but I know that's a big sticking point when it comes to the pass interference penalties. Paul Frank writes in, he says, I'm also glad Darren is on. People are happy to see me on here, so I appreciate that. He writes in, and he continues on to say, I missed a lot. I just got on. I hope the Riders don't lose a whole bunch of players, and I'm happy. The Packers won yesterday. Yes, the Packers beat the Lions. And one of the biggest things that I took away from that game is we have to start asking the question if it's time for Dan Campbell to get a little more conservative. It's a tough question. And it's one of those things I want to ask Jim Barker in the next segment. Dan Campbell and being more conservative. Should he be more conservative? I'm not so sure that he should. It's a little bit of live by the sword, die by the sword. But also there is a fine line between being courageous, being authentically you, and being stupid, right? At some point, you got to take the points. There was points left out there. They were 0 for 2 again on fourth down yesterday. It has become a thing that they have started to struggle on fourth down. Now, there was a big drop by Williams on the second fourth down that he should have caught, should have converted. Throw was a little behind him. I don't know. Brent writes in, he says, the Chicago Bears are having a good season, but as someone else has said, they may have had an easy schedule. This game against Philly will be interesting. Good luck to the Eagles. Very interesting. Did I have the Chicago schedule up? If I didn't, I'm going to pull this up here again. I know we don't do it as graphics on this show, but I'm going to pull this up here. And see if we can't look at what they've got left. Okay, because for the Bears, when we come down to the rest of the season, they've got 5 games left after today. They get the Eagles today. Then they play the Packers, tough game. The Browns, who are kind of getting a little bit of energy going. The Packers again, the 49ers, and the Lions. That is a tough schedule to end the season. Really, really tough. You got to remember, they lost 52-21 to the Lions back in September. Okay? They got both meetings coming up with the Bears, or with the Packers, I mean. That's going to be interesting. But they do have some big wins in their schedule. Wins over the Steelers, wins over the Vikings, wins over the Bengals, and the Ravens beat them earlier in the year, but they beat the Saints. So you look at that schedule. They beat the Commanders, they beat the Raiders, did beat the Cowboys. Probably one of their better wins. They beat the Chiefs back in the preseason. So I'm just looking back at their schedule. Tough one for the Bears. And that's why the NFL, when I look at the standings, and I think I had it up here, NFL has the Chicago Bears. Let's look at it coming into this game. Where can I find the Bears? Here we go. Currently, their playoff probability is at 62%. If they win today, their playoff probability shoots up to 77%. If they lose, it drops to 54%. So very interesting to see what happens with the Bears today. Brent also goes on to write on YouTube, congratulations on your marriage. Best of wishes to you and the missus going forward. Jim is coming up next segment for those that are asking. Lots from Jeff here. He said, there's little doubt Trevor Harris will play for Sask in 2026. The question is, how much does he want for it? What will it be his final contract? And it will be his position, or he's in a position to maximize it. He is. Tony from Cochrane says, the Outlaws used to have a house in Palm Springs and members of Stone Creek. I've seen pictures, absolutely gorgeous if you can afford it. You have a golf shirt from there, but it's then he goes on to write a bunch of dollar signs. Yeah, it's expensive. It's not cheap down here. That's where I am. I'm in Palm Springs. I got married on the weekend. It was great. Everything we could have hoped for. Fantastic. The weather now has been really, really good. We had a little rain early on in our stay, and now we just settle in because it's the holidays. Getting set for a little Black Friday action, football coming up. Not a lot of hockey on the program today, although we are there now. And the poll question we had up on the show here was, should the Oilers make a move in net right now? Look, we're going to save hockey till after gym because it is a football Friday. But right now, on the poll question, 43% are saying yes. 43% are also saying only if the right deal appears. And only 14% are saying no. Edmonton Oilers, in some trouble. Toronto Maple Leafs, a little bit nervous as well. 2 Canadian markets, not sure what to do. We'll talk about that and more coming up later on in the program. Jim Barker is going to join us in the next segment. We're going to talk a little early CFL free agency. We're going to talk Black Friday. We're going to talk NFL playoff picture and more coming up with Jim Barker here on U.S. Thanksgiving weekend. It was a lot of fun being down here for the Thanksgiving holiday weekend. Yesterday, we did the big turkey dinner. Today, going to go do a little Black Friday shopping after the show, watch a little football, a little hockey, and then settle in for the weekend. Jim Barker's next. More on the program. The RP Show with Rod on the road. Darren Dupont in, and we're back with more after the...
Hiring a video company shouldn't be complicated. Click, pay, done. Skycron.com/Regina.
Business owners and marketers. Okay, we know you think we're pretty cool. That's why we want you to share in the coolness factor. Partner with the Rod Pedersen Show and market your business every weekday to sports lovers just like yourself. Take advantage of our many cost-effective commercial and promotional opportunities. Tell the world about your business. Yes, the world. Thanks to Game Plus TV and the Rod Pedersen Digital Network. Contact us today and find out how you can be a part of Canada's fastest-growing sports talk show, The Rod Pedersen Show.
Sports fans, daytime sports talk gets a whole lot better weekdays at noon Eastern with the Rod Pedersen Show. Talking sports daily with A-list guests, and the best part is, you can always join the discussion as we're the most interactive talk show on television. Broadcasting from coast to coast from the biggest events like Super Bowl, Stanley Cup Final, Grey Cup, and more, there's nothing like it in the game today. The Rod Pedersen Show, daily at noon Eastern and 10 p.m. Pacific on Game Plus Network.
Business owners and marketers. Okay, we know you think we're pretty cool. That's why we want you to share in the coolness factor. Partner with the Rod Pedersen Show and market your business every weekday to sports lovers just like yourself. Take advantage of our many cost-effective commercial and promotional opportunities. Tell the world about your business. Yes, the world. Thanks to Game Plus TV and the Rod Pedersen Digital Network. Contact us today and find out how you can be a part of Canada's fastest-growing sports talk show, The Rod Pedersen Show.
You have a vision, a big idea. But how do you turn ambition into absolute impact? It starts with connection. Booking top-tier speakers and executing seamless events. That's the EMJ difference.
We position your brand where it belongs, Guy, through powerful advertising, strategic media, and promotion that drives results. At EMJ Marketing, we don't just promote your rebel, we partner. Your growth, our mission.
This is a test pattern. This is what happens when your video company screws up. You don't want your clients to see a screw-up. Hire a company that only does video, so it won't screw up. Then, people who give you money will see less of these and more of you. Skycron.com/live Hiring a video company shouldn't be complicated. Click, pay, done. Skycron.com/Regina.
Hey, welcome back into the RP show. Rod is traveling today, so Darren Dupont in for Rod Pedersen. Yeah, I'm pulling myself away from vacation here, jumping on the show on a Football Friday, and we're going to welcome in Jim Barker. Jim, how are you, man? Good to see you. Been a while.
Doing great. You're down in my neck of the woods there, Palm Springs.
Oh, yeah. I was going to say,
an hour and a half from there.
I was looking that up. I was like, okay, I think Jim's from the LA area, right?
Mm-hmm.
Pasadena?
Yeah, very good. Very good. Arcadia,
I got it.
Actually, but San Anita Racetrack. That'd be a great thing to do while you're there is go to San Anita Racetrack. Oak Tree is probably still running. But we used to go to Palm Springs because that's where the old LA Angels used to have training camp because the Dodgers were in Beach, Florida. But we could go out and watch the Angels back in the day in Palm Springs. And it was that's how I knew Palm Springs.
I love it down here, man. And
I've
only been coming a couple of years. And I always thought, why would I want to go to the desert? I want to go to the mountains or the ocean. We'd always go to the West Coast in Canada, to Vancouver or Kelowna. And I thought, why do I want to come down here? And then it came down here, and I'm like, wait, they got mountains. There's snow up there. Big Bear is only a couple of hours. The ocean's only 2 hours away in LA. And it's warm every day. This is the best of everything.
It really is.
It really, really is. Look, I want to get to lots with you. This is my first time being down here for the holiday, for the Thanksgiving holiday, which is great. It's the kickoff to the holiday season. And we were watching yesterday. But before we get to that, I want to talk CFL with you a little bit for our Canadian viewers. And a lot of American viewers are fans of the Canadian game. Free agency's coming up. I know we're thinking about it now. I saw 3 Down Nation drop their top 50 players, and it got me thinking a little bit about free agents. And I want to start with the quarterbacks. And near the top of that list, I saw 2 names. I saw Trevor Harris. I saw Bo Levi Mitchell. And what do you see out of those 2 guys next year? And then the question I really want to ask you is, if you're a team that needs a quarterback, which one would you rather sign?
Okay, I'll preface that. I probably want to answer that part of your question, but I'll preface this with way too early to talk about free agency because we have teams up here that don't have a coach yet. So it's hard to discuss who could go where and things like that. Trevor Harris, Bo Levi Mitchell's. He was the candidate from the East. Hamilton's going to re-sign him. He's going to want to stay there. Trevor, same thing in Saskatchewan. You just won a Grey Cup. What's better than, they'll take a little bit of a hometown discount probably. With some of the younger players, they won't do that. But players that have been around a while, and for Trevor, he's been around. We brought him up in 2012 with Zach Caleros, the 2 of them when we were with the Argos. So for Trevor, this is about more than the money and that type of thing. And to be able to be in a place like Saskatchewan and have led them to their first Grey Cup in a long time and 2008, but long time as Hamilton with Bo Levi. They haven't been to the Grey Cup since 99. So way early to talk about it. They're going to get re-signed by their teams. I doubt teams are even talking about, wow, maybe we could get Bo Levi or maybe we could. I just doubt that's happening right now. And, I love it, but way, way, way too early for free agency.
Well, for sure. And as I'm looking at that list, as a fan of the league and a fan of these teams that, maybe aren't the Riders, so didn't win the Grey Cup this year, you could salivate over that free agency list. And you're right. Most of those players aren't going to get to free agency. Tyson Philpott's on that list. Who wouldn't want to have him in their receiving core? But okay, so thinking of the pre-free agency period, I'm looking at the Riders, and there's 3 players on that list: Trevor Harris, the Grey Cup MVP; Sam Emilus, the most outstanding Canadian in the Grey Cup; and Jamarcus Hardrick, the outstanding lineman in the league. Who would be your top priority if you're Jeremy O'Day to get signed?
Well, obviously Trevor Harris is a priority. They're not the same team without him as they are with him. So that would be the start. Jamarcus Hardrick, I think he's the same thing. You're talking about older players when you talk about Jamarcus Hardrick and Trevor Harris. Older players will have a tendency to stay where they're at. They've got families. They're, I'm sure, entrenched in the communities there. But a player like Samuel Emilus is one that when you win a Grey Cup, you lose a lot of guys like that, those middle tier guys who now, they look around the league and they say, well, this guy's making this and I should be making that. And you can't afford to keep them all. And that's where they're going to lose somebody. So, is in that middle tier area. And Samuel Emilus is a great name because all it takes is one team to say, we're going to give that guy over $200,000. And there's no way that, I don't believe that Saskatchewan can hang with that. So you're going to lose some players. That's part of what, when you win the Grey Cup, it even goes up. It doesn't go down. Yeah, they want to be part of the, coming back and doing it again, but it's still much tougher to keep guys after you win a Grey Cup because in their minds, their values have all gone up.
Yeah, it'd be really interesting to see. And you're right. You could be number 2, number 3, number 4 on a Grey Cup winning team, and I could go somewhere else and be number 1 and get number 1 money.
Yep.
So teams will make that decision. Look, it was fun yesterday. We did the big Thanksgiving dinner yesterday. We did all the U.S. things. We've got some U.S. friends down here. And
you made a great point. You made a great point about Thanksgiving in the U.S. because it is more about friends. And I can remember most Thanksgivings, I was going to friends' houses. And yeah, you all bring things, but it's a lot of people your same age. And you go out and play football and you do things like that. At Christmas, it's all about family. But at Thanksgiving, it's much more about friends and it is different. It's very different down there, obviously, than it is up here in Canada, where we do it on a Monday in October. And then you got to go to work the next day. That's the other great thing down there is it's on a Thursday, no work on Friday. So, yeah.
Away you go. Everybody's getting together, right? That's the thing. Everybody gets together for Thanksgiving, and you're with your family on Christmas, which is a little different where we all try and, do it all on Christmas, and Thanksgiving becomes a little bit separate.
Very astute for you to recognize that.
I keep my eyes open. I try and pay attention a little bit. Look, yesterday, great. There's a lot to get to here. Let's start with the early game yesterday and the Packers over the Detroit Lions. Is it time for Dan Campbell to start getting a little more conservative with the 4th down gambles?
Okay, here's the thing. You're as good as your players. And his players this year are much different than they were last year. The makeup of the team, different. I mean, they have Frank Ragnow coming back. Now, was he that inspirational leader on the offense? Their offensive line's not the same. So it's not a question so much of him changing. It's understanding your team and their strengths. Because as much as you say, well, will the team think I'm losing confidence in them if I don't go for it? It's as much being smart about it. And again, the eventual goal is to win games. And players are going to believe in you a lot more when you're successful. Well, when you're really good, you're going to be successful. And when you're not as good, you're not going to be as successful. So maybe you do, and again, I don't think it's changing your philosophy. I think any coach's philosophy is I need to know what my team can do. That's part of what a head coach is all about. And it's never the same. And that team is nowhere near as physical as they were last year. They are not the bullies anymore this year. They just seem different. Now, is that because they lost Ben Johnson? Is that because they had Frank Ragnow retire or different movement or people? I don't know. But they are a different football team now. And I don't believe they're going to make the playoffs. I just think they're in a division, that's tougher. I think the Packers and the Bears today. Now, that's the game, the Bears and the Eagles. That one's going to tell a lot about what's going to happen in that division because that game is do you have a little brother?
Yes.
Do you? Okay. So imagine you're down there with your buddies swimming in the deep end of the pool, and your little brother's kind of He's down there. He wants to come down and play with the big boys. But, he's not sure yet. Well, that's how I feel about the Chicago. I'm not sure they're ready to come play with the big boys. They're playing the defending champion this week, and then they have the Cowboy. They have a tough – you read their schedule. Their schedule is tough, okay? But if the Bears can beat the defending champions, then I say, hey, come on down here. You can play with us in the deep end now because you're a big boy. And that because they're going into Philadelphia. Everything makes this game tough for Chicago. And, yeah, they haven't beaten – they did beat Dallas, and Dallas we know was going through all their problems. They're a different team, Dallas, in the last 3 weeks since they've signed, Quinnen Williams and Wilson. And they signed or trade for these guys, and it's exactly what Jerry Jones said he was going to do. And they've won 3 in a row, and they're a different team now than they were when the Bears played them. So, again, what are the Bears? We're going to find out today. We are going to find out today what they are. If they win this game today, then you got to be they're to be reckoned with the rest of the way. Otherwise, they're going to go back to the deep end or the shallow end, and then the big boys will come and play in the deep end when it gets to playoff time.
I love that analogy of the pool. I mean, if the Bears win today, the NFL has their playoff probability shoot all the way up to 77%. Less catastrophic for the Eagles, who right now have a 99% playoff probability. If they win, it will stay there. If they lose, it drops to 98%. So I don't know how much you read into the playoff probabilities. You still got to win the games in front of you, which brings me to Dallas. The playoff probability, even after their win, the NFL has it at 19%, which I thought was wild. But here's their games left. They've got the Lions next week on Thursday. They've got the Chargers at home, the Giants on the road, the Vikings at home, and then they go on the road to Washington. That's their schedule. Seems a little light to me, and that they have a chance to pick up 3, 4, maybe run the table the way they're playing.
Yeah, but the problem is they're in the same division as the Eagles. And when you look at the wild card things, which is what, it's like you look in the other division. You talk about Cincinnati, and how can a team has 8 losses even be talked about? Well, the Baltimore Ravens, who actually did not give you any warm, fuzzy feeling yesterday that they're about to turn it around and get it going again. The Baltimore Ravens are leading that division, and Pittsburgh is right there with them, and they play the Bills, and Josh Allen tomorrow. Or not tomorrow, Sunday. So that puts every team in that division you have to enter because the division champion gets in. The leader of the division has only 6 wins right now and played like garbage last night against Cincinnati. And Cincinnati now has the Davis Alexander of the NFL and Joe Burrow. Joe Burrow won the last 6 games last year, the first 3 this year, then he gets hurt. Now he comes back, boom, they're right back to winning. They're a different team with Joe Burrow there, just like the Montreal Alouettes are a different team with Davis Alexander at quarterback. So, do you say Cincinnati's out of it? It's hard to say they're out of it when they're only 2 games behind the league leader, and the league leader they just beat by 20 last night.
Yeah,
it's wild time to be looking at this stuff, Darren.
I mean, Baltimore, I guess, technically fell out of the playoffs at 6-6 with Pittsburgh at 6-5. But you're right; they got the Bills this week that they could flip right back and likely will. But they still have the Ravens sitting here outside the playoff picture today for a few days at a 63% probability to make it into the playoffs. And you're right; it's because of that division. So I look at 3 teams. I look at the Detroit Lions at 7-5 now, but 3rd in their division. They've lost key divisional games, which is a problem for Detroit. Their playoff probability is at 49%. You've got the Chiefs at 6-6, and you got the Cowboys now 6-5-1. Who do you like out of that group of 3 to get in or not get in? 49ers are in 8-4 right now, 3rd in the NFC. They're 3rd in the division though, but right now they're hanging on to the last playoff spot in the NFC.
Correct. Are they going to beat the 49ers out because I honestly believe there could very easily be 3 teams from the West that make it.
Yeah.
So that the Rams right now are the best team in football. I mean, anybody who's watched them the last couple weeks, they are the best team in football, I believe. I believe they're playing great on defense. I believe Matt Stafford is just out of his head. I mean, some of the throws he looks like Patrick Mahomes with some of the sidearm things he's doing from the pocket, and he's so accurate, and they're just playing with such confidence. So I could see 3 teams from the West coming out of it. I just see the problem with the Lions for me is they've lost a little bit of that physicality edge that they had last year, and that's my biggest problem with Detroit. But as we look at these teams, the division does play a factor, and that for the Bears, Packers, that becomes really important, and that's why the Bears they have a day of reckoning today, because if they lose this one, they know that they know what they got coming down. They got the Packers twice. It's not the Cowboys. It's not going to be a fun ride for them if they lose this game today, in my opinion.
I agree. It's a really tough schedule, and this could, determine the rest of that season. So kickoff a little over 90 minutes away in that one. Look, I want to talk NCAA with you. You spent a little time in the NCAA. Couple of games going on right now. Rivalry weekend. Utah leading Kansas 10-7 at the half. And Ole Miss up on Mississippi State 14-7. And Ole Miss 7-1, number 7 in the country. But apparently Saturday is D-Day for Lane Kiffin. We saw this in Canada, up in the CFL. Grey Cup winning coach Ryan Dinwiddie, head coach of the Toronto Argonauts, signed as a dual role, a promotion, if you will, a head coach and GM with the Ottawa Redblacks. So he moves to go and sign with Ottawa. Lane Kiffin, a couple of key openings, LSU and Florida. Those jobs are open right now. And Lane Kiffin, there's a lot of talk about him leaving. There's so many angles to this. With the team in the college football playoff situation and contending for a national title?
Why don't they put a rule in that says, you want to fire your coach early, that's great, but you cannot talk to a coach till he's done with his season. And that might be January if you want a national championship type of coach. I just think everything they're asking for Lane Kiffin right now is wrong. It's not fair for him. It's not fair for those kids at Mississippi. It's not fair for anybody. Where if they had to wait till the season was over, take that pressure off of them, and let those kids at Mississippi, you may only get one chance in your lifetime to play for a national championship in college football. And I just think it's wrong that Kiffin has been put in this position because he's done such a great job. I mean, the bottom line is Ole Miss has half the NIL money that LSU has. Half. And yet he has a chance to win with that team. Now, again, at what point is 12 million or 15 million? It's exactly what you said, a chance to win it all. Well, I mean, does Lane Kiffin, do they actually have a chance to win it all? I believe if you ask him, I believe he does. I think he's going to stay at Ole Miss, to be honest with you. That's mine. The big game, I know Corey just said we got 30 seconds. The big game for CFL fans is Auburn, Alabama, the Iron Bowl, where Kent Austin will be calling the plays for the third week.
Oh, we lost him. I didn't know Jim, I didn't know we had the early cutoff. Okay, we'll see you for more after the break.
You have a vision, a big idea, but how do you turn ambition into absolute impact? It starts with connection. Booking top-tier speakers and executing seamless events, that's the EMJ difference.
We position your brand where it belongs, Guy, through powerful advertising, strategic media, and promotion that drives results. At EMJ Marketing, we don't just promote, we partner. Your growth, our mission.
This is a test pattern. This is what happens when your video company screws up. You don't want your clients to see a screw up. Hire a company that only does video, so it won't screw up. Then, people who give you money will see less of these and more of you. Skycron.com/live.
Business owners and marketers. Okay, we know you think we're pretty cool. That's why we want you to share in the coolness factor. Partner with the Rod Pedersen Show and market your business every weekday to sports lovers just like yourself. Take advantage of our many cost-effective commercial and promotional opportunities. Tell the world about your business. Yes, the world. Thanks to Game Plus TV and the Rod Pedersen Digital Network. Contact us today and find out how you can be a part of Canada's fastest-growing sports talk show, The Rod Pedersen Show.
Sports fans, daytime sports talk gets a whole lot better weekdays at noon Eastern with the Rod Pedersen Show. Talking sports daily with A-list guests, and the best part is you can always join the discussion as we're the most interactive talk show on television. Broadcasting from coast to coast from the biggest events like Super Bowl, Stanley Cup Final, Grey Cup, and more. There's nothing like it in the game today. The Rod Pedersen Show, daily at noon Eastern and 10 p.m. Pacific on Game Plus Network.
This is a test pattern. This is what happens when your video company screws up. You don't want your clients to see a screw up. Hire a company that only does video, so it won't screw up. Then, people who give you money will see less of these and more of you. Skycron.com/live.
Business owners and marketers. Okay, we know you think we're pretty cool. That's why we want you to share in the coolness factor. Partner with the Rod Pedersen Show and market your business every weekday to sports lovers just like yourself. Take advantage of our many cost-effective commercial and promotional opportunities. Tell the world about your business. Yes, the world. Thanks to Game Plus TV and the Rod Pedersen Digital Network. Contact us today and find out how you can be a part of Canada's fastest-growing sports talk show, The Rod Pedersen Show.
Hiring a video company shouldn't be complicated. Click, pay, done. Skycron.com/Regina.
Welcome back to the RP show. Darren Dupont with you here. Thanks for Jim Barker joining us here. Great chat. And he was teeing up Auburn, Alabama at the end of that, and Ken Austin calling plays there for Auburn. So that's really exciting. Looking forward to that. Also, Alabama losing one of their offensive coordinators going to coach, I believe, at Oklahoma State. So that's really some news in college football. Rivalry weekend is on across the NCAA. And listen to some of these games. I mean, it already started today. Ole Miss, Mississippi State, and it's Ole Miss up 14-7. They are 17 seconds away from the half in that one. Utah's up on Kansas 10-7. They are at the half. Still some games today, and then the big slate tomorrow. So today, it's Georgia Tech. That's coming up in about 2 hours, just under 2 hours time, 12:30 Pacific. Texas A&M in Texas. That's coming up today, this afternoon at 4:30 Pacific, or tonight, 7:30 Eastern. Number 3, Texas A&M. They've been good. They are serious national championship contenders against number 16, Texas, who need a win. They need a win if they want to be in the college football playoff. I think they need to win this game to have a shot at the college football playoff. I just do. They might be out of it, and on the outside looking in. Still today, number 2, Indiana against Purdue. A big one for them. Arizona State, 2 teams inside the top 25 that have real outside looks. Miami, then tomorrow, Miami and Pittsburgh. Be great. Probably the biggest game of the weekend is Ohio State, Michigan. I think it's the biggest game of the season, period. It draws the biggest television ratings of any game all year. It is It draws as much TV ratings as the national championship draws. Ohio State, Michigan, and Michigan is on a roll in this game. They have Ohio State's number. Even last year, when Ohio State won the national championship, Michigan won the rivalry game. So Ohio State number 1, Michigan's number 15. If the Wolverines win this game, they're in the college football playoff. I think they just are. You have this win on your resume. If you're Michigan, you're in the college football playoff. The game is in Michigan. So very curious to see what happens with this one. I just, don't know. These rivalry games, you never know. Ohio State, probably a better football team. They're the number 1 team in the country. But Ohio State, here's the thing about Ohio State that's really interesting to me. They routinely have the softest schedule in college football. They just do. They don't schedule anybody tough. I mean, if I want to look at Ohio State's schedule, let me look at Ohio State's schedule. Because they played Texas, I believe, at the beginning of the year, and that was it. So if we pull up their schedule here, going all the way back to last year, where are we at here? Let's go to August. They beat Texas 14-7, toughest game of the schedule so far. Then they beat Grambling State 70-0. Ohio, they beat 37-9. They beat Washington 24-6, unranked. Unranked Minnesota 42-3. Unranked Illinois 34-16. Unranked Wisconsin 34-0. Unranked Penn State 38-14, who fired their coach. Unranked Purdue 34-10. Now, Penn State might have been ranked at that time. I don't remember. They beat UCLA 48-10. They beat Rutgers 42-9, and now they play Michigan. That's the schedule. The only ranked opponent on the schedule was Texas. Now, Penn State was projected to be a college football playoff team. They fired their coach this year, and James Franklin. They were a better team. So that's on the schedule, but that's on the Big Ten schedule. They don't schedule that themselves. Washington was in the national championship just a couple of years ago. They're not ranked. That was part of the Big Ten schedule. They didn't play anybody. So curious. We don't know what Ohio State is, but give them credit. No matter what, they end up being still one of the top teams, if not the best team in college football, regardless. What other big games are coming up? Miami, Pittsburgh, Texas Tech and West Virginia. And BYU is one of those interesting teams on the playoff bubble. They'll play UCF. And then tomorrow as well, Oregon, Washington, Oklahoma, LSU, big rivalry game. Vanderbilt, Tennessee will be good. USC, UCLA, Alabama, Auburn. So some good games. Oklahoma, LSU, I mentioned. Virginia Tech. Big weekend of college football. Big weekend of NFL. Big weekend of NHL as well across the landscape. Look, we got one more segment coming up here on a Football Friday. We'll be back after this viewer takeover in our...
This is a test pattern. This is what happens when your video company screws up. You don't want your clients to see a screw up. Hire a company that only does video, so it won't screw up. Then, people who give you money will see less of these and more of you. Skycron.com/live.
Business owners and marketers. Okay, we know you think we're pretty cool. That's why we want you to share in the coolness factor. Partner with the Rod Pedersen Show and market your business every weekday to sports lovers just like yourself. Take advantage of our many cost-effective commercial and promotional opportunities. Tell the world about your business. Yes, the world. Thanks to Game Plus TV and the Rod Pedersen Digital Network. Contact us today and find out how you can be a part of Canada's fastest growing sports talk show, The Rod Pedersen Show.
Sports fans, daytime sports talk gets a whole lot better weekdays at noon Eastern with the Rod Pedersen Show. Talking sports daily with A-list guests, and the best part is you can always join the discussion as we're the most interactive talk show on television. Broadcasting from coast to coast from the biggest events like Super Bowl, Stanley Cup Final, Grey Cup, and more, there's nothing like it in the game today. The Rod Pedersen Show, daily at noon Eastern and 10 p.m. Pacific on Game Plus Network.
Business owners and marketers. Okay, we know you think we're pretty cool. That's why we want you to share in the coolness factor. Partner with the Rod Pedersen Show and market your business every weekday to sports lovers just like yourself. Take advantage of our many cost-effective commercial and promotional opportunities. Tell the world about your business. Yes, the world. Thanks to Game Plus TV and the Rod Pedersen Digital Network. Contact us today and find out how you can be a part of Canada's fastest-growing sports talk show, The Rod Pedersen Show.
You have a vision, a big idea. But how do you turn ambition into absolute impact? It starts with connection. Booking top-tier speakers and executing seamless events. That's the EMJ difference.
We position your brand where it belongs, Guy, through powerful advertising, strategic media, and promotion that drives results. At EMJ Marketing, we don't just promote, we partner. Your growth, our mission.
Do you worry about how much someone drinks?
Do you feel angry or depressed most of the time? Do you feel neglected or unloved?
Do you feel that if the drinker loved you, she or he would stop drinking?
If you answered yes to any of these questions, you are not alone.
Not everyone trapped by alcohol is an alcoholic.
Families and friends are suffering too.
Al-Anon
and Alateen can help. Call 1-866-200-0223 or visit alanon.org/help.
Looking for a new ride without the big city pressure? Come to Western Dodge in Moose Jaw, where you'll find an unbeatable lineup of Ram trucks, Jeep SUVs, Dodge Muscle, and Chrysler family rides. With knowledgeable staff, great prices, and that friendly Moose Jaw touch, you'll drive away with confidence. Western Dodge, big selection, small town service. Visit us today or browse online at westerndodge.ca.
All right, we've reached the final segment of the RP show. Darren Dupont in for Rod Pedersen, who's traveling. He'll be back in the chair, I believe, on Monday. One final segment here, viewer takeover, so get your comments in. If you're watching on YouTube, you can stream the show every day on YouTube, all 2 hours. You can write your comments in there, or on the text line at 902-518-3033. Message for our Canadian viewers, those of you specifically in the Regina, Saskatchewan area. Skycron, producer of the RP show, is doing a screening of the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles 2. It's happening in Regina. Contact them for free tickets. Best way to reach out, Corey, for the free tickets? Giving away some free tickets. Any way you can get a hold of them, you can write us here on the YouTube chat or on the text line as well. Connect if you're in the area and want to see the screening of the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles for free for being a viewer of the RP show. Contact Skycron or write in as you can right away. Tonight is the viewing, 7:30 local time in Regina, Saskatchewan, Canada. Probably not going to fly in for this one, but if you're in the area, check it out. Great movie. Look, Black Friday, talked a lot of football on a Football Friday, and I want to get some hockey in here on this Black Friday. There's games underway right now. Tampa Bay, after 2 periods of play, up on Detroit 4-3 in that one. Tampa trying to get things back on track. The Rangers up on Boston right now after... well, it says they're in the first intermission, but it says there's 5:58 left. Oh, in the intermission. Okay. They got a little Zamboni icon on here, too. The NHL's done great stuff with their website. And Rangers up 2-0 on Boston. Later on today, this afternoon, Colorado, Minnesota, New Jersey, Buffalo, Calgary, Florida, Philly takes on the Islanders, the Senators, and the Blues. Ottawa expected to get Matthew Tkachuk back today, so that's big news for them. Montreal is in Vegas taking on the Vegas Golden Knights, so big for our viewers that are watching in Vegas. Anaheim home today to LA. San Jose home to Vancouver. Toronto is at Washington. Winnipeg's at Carolina. Pittsburgh at Columbus. Nashville at Chicago. And Utah visiting Dallas. That's really big. I wanted to visit this too. We only have a few minutes in this segment at the end of the show because it's U.S. Thanksgiving. And one thing Rod always talks about is we kind of know what you are by U.S. Thanksgiving. That's the cutoff to know who are the contenders and who are the pretenders in the National Hockey League. U.S. Thanksgiving. It's not set in stone. We see some movement, but often the playoff teams at U.S. Thanksgiving are the playoff teams at the end of the year, which is wild. So here's the playoff teams right now in the Eastern Conference of the National Hockey League. Tampa Bay, Ottawa, and Boston lead the Atlantic. New Jersey, Carolina, and Washington lead the Metropolitan Division. And the wild card teams are the New York Islanders and the Pittsburgh Penguins. Those are the playoff teams. On the outside looking in, Montreal, Philadelphia, Detroit. Tied with Pittsburgh for the final playoff spot, but technically on the outside looking in. A point back, Columbus and the Rangers. 2 points back, Florida. And 4 points back, Toronto. 5 points back, Buffalo. It's very tight still, 5 points from last in the East to the second wild card spot. But still, you've got the Leafs and Sabres, the bottom of the standings. Actually, it's the Panthers, Leafs, and Sabres at the bottom of the standings as basement dwellers at U.S. Thanksgiving. That's no longer a, holy smokes, we had a tough start. That's becoming who you are this year. Dangerous. In the West, Colorado, Dallas, and Minnesota lead the Central. Anaheim, Vegas, and Seattle lead the Pacific. I don't know how many people had the Ducks as a first-place team in the division, but they are. And there's Vegas, 10-5-8, 28 points, second in the Pacific. The Kings and the Utah Mammoth are the two wildcard teams. Here's on the outside looking in. Chicago, San Jose, and Edmonton are 2 points back. Winnipeg's 3 points back. Vancouver's 5. St. Louis 6 points back. And then you got the Flames and the Predators in the basement of the standings. So right now, Edmonton, Winnipeg, Vancouver, Calgary, Canadian teams, all on the outside looking in. So you got to think about that. Vegas, Anaheim, LA, they're all in. So that's interesting. Do you think this stays? What team do you think makes the playoffs that's not in a playoff spot today? Very interested to see about that. Comments coming in. Wayne writes in. He says, well, if you lose Amon-Ra St. Brown, then the team is definitely going to be not going to be the same. They need him back soon. He left the game yesterday for the Detroit Lions as we shift kind of back to football for a second in our final 2 minutes of the show. If he's out, which he's expected to be out a couple of weeks, 1 to 2 weeks minimum, according to Dan Campbell in the postgame press conference, that's trouble for the Detroit Lions. Text line 902-518-3033. Thanks for all the messages Bill wrote in. Kirk's got another one here. He says, thanks for the reply. Congrats on your marriage. His sister's name is also Leanne. Sunny, no snow in Toronto, but all the snow belts around the GTA got hit hard. Some snow up in Canada. Big weekend of football coming up. We're about a little over an hour away from kickoff. The Bears and Eagles in the Black Friday game. It's on Amazon. Both teams 8-3, and a huge, huge test for the Bears. Look, last year on Black Friday, the Chicago Bears fired Matt Eberflus. This year, first in the division and trying to take down the Super Bowl champs. Pretty miraculous turnaround in Chicago. For the Bengals, 4-8 or 5-8. What are they? 5-8 now? 4-8. 8 losses. Last time a team with 8 losses made the playoffs was the 2020 Chicago Bears. Still just a 16-game season. They were 8-8. That's not going to happen this year because of the 17-game schedule. But 2020 is the last time an 8-loss team made it to the playoffs. Big thanks to Jim Barker for joining us here on the program. Way back in hour 1, for those of you who are watching on YouTube, Kevin the Medium joined. Big thanks to him. For our American viewers, happy holidays. Hope you enjoyed Thanksgiving. Enjoy the weekend. I'm going Black Friday shopping down here in the U.S., and Rod will be back in the chair on Monday after some speaking gigs over the weekend. Until then, thanks for watching The RP Show.
Dad.